Hello, stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Trey, and today we're gonna make a 4-page comic. And for a 4-page comic, all you really need is this. Just this. A single sheet of paper can make your 4-page comic. Yes. I've done it before and I'll do it again. And this time, it'll be with you guys. So, the essence of a 4-page comic, you take a standard piece of paper, any type of paper, and you fold that paper in half. And this is your comic. So, this is your 4-page comic. All right, this is the first page, second page, third page, and then the end page, the last page. And that's all you need. And I think this is great for anyone who wants to try comics for the first time and is unsure about exactly what they want to do. I say get some reps under your belt with this. Practice with something very short, but also is a very accurate depiction of a comic. And so that's what we'll be doing. It's gonna be fantastic. So let's do it. We'll give you a rundown on all the whole process. So 4-page comic, this is it. So here's an example of the 4-page comic. We have the front cover, we have the 2-page interior where the story happens, and then of course we have a conclusion for the last page, page number 4. And I have 2 examples of this, which is the boy in the cart and the girl and the snake. And so I've done this twice before, but I love that it's a very short and condensed version of a larger comic or it does everything. It's the whole process. So that's what we're trying to do, the whole process. So for that whole process, I want you to think of the writing. Because it's short, it doesn't need too much, so it shouldn't be too involved. But a beginning, middle, and end. Is there going to be text? Is there not going to be text? The characters, the comic panel borders, you can think about either it's going to be drawn, will it be painted? It can be black and white, will there be color? All of these things you need to ask yourself. So if you want to follow along, think of what you would like to do. But for mine, all right, so everyone's process is different. But my process for story is usually there's a key concept or a key idea that I'm thinking of. And from that key idea, we can usually bridge that to the characters. So I knew I wanted to do a cyberpunk story. I like cyberpunk stories. So for this project, HBH, which Heaven Between Hell, this was my starting key image. And there's the bones of a bird wing and the bones of a bat wing. We have a halo and a devil's horn from that broken halo. And that was the very start of the concept for this project. And from the concept, usually stories have characters. So this was the very earliest version of the characters of my story of Heaven Between Hell. And we have Dog, who would be a youthful boy, somewhere around maybe early teens, 14, 15, 16. We have the girl Waif, also named Love, who is the mysterious one. We have the detective, because cyberpunk stories came from noir stories, and noir stories usually had a femme fatale, and that's why I call her Fatal. We have a very old model cyborg called Keroberos, and the mystery man, who is just the hidden, the man with no name. And this is the starting 5 characters. And everyone's process is different. Sometimes the story comes first, sometimes the characters come first. Whatever helps in the making of your story. But usually I have a concept, then the characters, and then I write a story. But I've had this story in mind for a while. So from that, here is another just brief sketches of major characters of the project. And for this 4-page comic, these are the characters that will be mostly involved, with our lead being Dog, the youth, Love, the waif, Mendoza, the detective, Keroberos, the cyborg, and the hidden. And then we have the hackers, Sun and Moon, and we have the new god, the Tyrant King. And in this world of NeoLA, where there's the good side and the bad side, high town, low town, and in this very technological advanced low lives. So we're dealing with, in this world, NeoLA, where the rift of a great earthquake has created like a 3-mile span rift between the downtown or uptown, where the corporations have taken over, and the low town, which has called the jungle by the gangs that now rule over pretty much all the rest of LA. We have the gangs, and the gangs are named after, they take imagery of animals. So the lion king, the snake king, the wolf king, the fox, bear. And these are the heads of rival gangs. In the low town, we also have the police in the high town and the low town. The police in the low town, they're heavily armored, and since the war with the robots of 20 years prior to the story, all automatons can't have heads. They are headless machines to signify that they are unintelligent. They are usually built to do a job, and after the war with the robots, the androids, there is no longer, it has been mandated that you cannot make a sentient or high thinking robot. And so this is a police robot without a head. And usually there are shields for the police. Now in the high town, the holy city of glittering stars, I think of Hollywood, and a lot of technology is built on the West Coast. There's a lot of technological companies. And so we're trying to merge those two ideas, right? Of celebrity, stardom, and the corporate overlords, right? And we're fusing those two to create the Caesars, the Czars, and the Kaisers, who are the heads of companies on this high town, this glittering city of glass, steel, and metal. And the corporations have pretty much taken over everything, and they are And on their side, also automatons without heads, called the archbishops, and their police are private police by the corporations, and they are called knights. And so those are the characters for this story. So if you want to follow along and make your own 4-page comic, I highly encourage that. And usually, yes, start with an idea to characters, and a short, brief story synopsis, because it's just 4 pages. We're trying to work within some constraints, and I figure the deadline will be, let's say, for the month of September. So we'd like to have this done. Try to make it at a level that you can complete it. So I'm thinking there might not be color for it, and it might just be pencils, and that's fine. You just want to go through the steps. And if you want to do more, you can do more. If not, if you don't have the time, that's also fine. You're just trying to work within what you got. We're trying to make the minimum product, the MVP, minimum viable product, and we'll go from there. So I've been Trey. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you on next week's episode, where we will continue this project and we'll go over the pages, or rough pages, for this 4-page comic. So I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.